How do you make an artichoke?
That's the question? I don't know.
You strangle it.
I was like, okay, never mind.
This joke brought to you by the darkness.
Hungry Squared, bringing you the best food talk anywhere.
Welcome to the Hungry Squared podcast, where the brain and belly meet. I'm Sharon from the Wasatch Cooking Guide.
And I'm Winter from the Chef vs. Baker. This week, we're talking about comfort foods. We need it.
We need it.
There's been a lot of emotional eating lately, right?
Let's eat some food.
Let's talk about it.
Hungry Squared, yeah, Hungry Squared.
Hey, Winter.
Sharon.
Hello.
How are you, friend?
I'm good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah?
I am emotionally eating a lot lately.
I get ya, friend. I get ya. It's been a little while.
It has. Hello, friends.
I did say on the last episode that we were not sure what's going on. We knew that February was going to be a little crazy, but we were able to sit down for just a minute to record this lovely episode for you.
Because we miss you guys.
Yeah, we do. Yeah. So, how's it been though, Sharon?
It's been going. I've been really wanting to eat some cheese, man. I still can't eat cheese.
It's pretty sad. We had dinner here before we recorded, and there were a couple of tricky spots in dinner.
There were. So far, I'm navigating them. We might have to edit a couple of things out of the podcast. Sorry, Lee.
We'll see how it goes. But we're here. Welcome back, everybody. Anyway, let's do a food nerd shout out.
Food nerd shout out.
Hey! So I just wanted to quickly say hey to Justice Stewart. He's our friend that we interviewed last week. Lee interviewed him last week. And of course, we have our giveaway going on so that you can win his sous vide cookbook that he just came out with. And he gave us a shout out on Facebook, and he said he had a fun time talking with us, which was awesome. Listen to our interview from last week. I'll post a link in the show notes. And like I said, you can get a free signed copy of the Mastering the Art of Sous Vide Cooking when you go and figure out all of those details of what you need to do. But thanks to Justice once again. That was super fun to hang out with you. Lee said he had a lot of fun talking with you. Chef to chef, actually. He enjoyed that a lot. So
let's dig into the kitchen drawer.
Okay, Sharon, I get to do this lovely section because it's been a while and I've been dying to tell you about what I got over Christmas.
Yeah.
It's the Surlatab's Silicone Ultimate Fork.
No, that's not what it's called. I saw it at dinner and you called it something else.
What did I call it?
The 10-in-1 fork.
Oh, yes.
Because you can only do 10 things with that fork and not 11.
No. So I got it for Christmas.
Really nice.
I got it for Christmas. And let me just describe what it looks like. It's just a kind of a giant fork, but it's made out of silicone. The prongs are pretty big, but they've got still some pretty good distance. Distance between each prong.
It's the size of like part of a salad set.
Yes.
Where you get the spoon and the fork.
Mm-hmm.
It's like that size.
It is a metal fork on the inside, but then it's encased in silicone. The the prongs are pointed, a little pointed, but they're not sharp per se, but they're pointed. And they kind of taper also. They kind of have a little bit of a tapered end. So because of the fact that this all-purpose fork, as the website states, has 10 uses, you can mix, you can mash, you can stir, you can flip, you can blend, you can scramble, you can serve, you can lift, you can pull, and you can separate, making it the most versatile tool in any kitchen.
Lifts and separates.
I know. So we used it this evening. What did we use it for, Sharon?
Egg noodles for serving.
For serving egg noodles.
With our homemade beef stroganoff.
Yeah. Instant Pot beef stroganoff. So that worked out pretty good. I have mixed and blended things with it. I guess I've scrambled. Lee makes scrambled eggs with them. And I haven't used it to separate.
Yes, you have those noodles.
Oh, I guess so. Yeah, I guess so. I've used it. It's been good. Lee said don't use it for sunny side up eggs.
Well, because it scrambles.
Yeah. It's not really a good flipper. It's a good lifter. So I suspect good for lifting cookies off of a cookie sheet or something. I don't know.
Okay.
So far, the handful of things I've used it for, the limited things I've used it for, have been about 4 things. And they've worked pretty well.
What's the cleanup like on this fork?
It's awesome. It's a silicone fork. So great. I just chuck it into the dishwasher most of the time.
Easy to get in between those tines.
Oh, the tines are huge. Yeah, plenty of room.
Okay.
So I like it. I still haven't, there's a few things that are no good with it. Like Lee said, you can't really like flip an over easy egg with it.
It's not a spatula.
It's not a spatula. It can't handle tender work.
Not a fish spat.
Well, maybe it could flip a fish fillet. We'll have to try that too.
Okay,
so far, I'm going to say that it's a 4. Only
4 out of 5 stars. Right?
4 out of 5 stars. It does what it's supposed to do. The things that I've tried to use before. And it's a pretty quick, like you said, cleanup. And I just chuck it into the dishwasher and it works pretty well. So I'll post a link in the show notes. Give it a look. It's not super fancy looking. It's a fork, but it's $10 and they've got
cool.
multiple colors. So check it out. 4 out of 5. Yeah, I feel okay about that.
All right.
And now for the main course.
Now let's get down to our main topic at hand, which is
Stress eating,
emotional eating, comfort foods.
Because that's part of emotional eating, I think.
A little bit of why we do it.
Why we do it. Well, we decided on this topic because we've had there's been a bit of stress in Sharon's life. We're not going to expound here.
When isn't there stress?
That's true. But sometimes it ebbs and flows, and there's definitely a flow going now.
It's flowing into my life.
So we thought it would be appropriate to talk about emotional eating and stress eating, and then maybe segue into comfort foods because, yeah, yum. Okay, so let's talk about the term stress eating. I was thinking just stress eating, but the kind of more all-encompassing term is emotional eating.
Yeah.
It's a thing. Emotional eating is basically a coping strategy, right? It's not a great one because it can lead to all sorts of different things. But basically what's happening in the body is stress can basically cause the nervous system to send messages physiologically, send messages to the adrenal glands to pump out the hormone epinephrine, right? Adrenaline is another name for epinephrine. And as we know, the epinephrine kind of will trigger the body's fight or flight response, and that revs you up, right? It does put eating on hold because it's taking care of other things, right? You need to run away. You need to do all these things. You need to fight. But if the stress persists, so you're not eating when that adrenaline's going. However, if you keep getting stress or are stressed long-term, Sharon, I'm talking to you, friend, then the adrenal glands are going to start pumping out something different, a different hormone called cortisol.
The stress hormone.
Yep. And this is long-term because, the epinephrine will get you going for a short amount of time. It's the cortisol that's just going to keep pumping out if the stimulant, I guess, the stress is persisting in your life. And so the cortisol actually will ramp up your appetite. It's going to get you it's going to motivate you to eat more. However, if once your stress level drops down, the cortisol level should drop off. However, if the stress doesn't go away, then you basically have trained your body, or that cortisol switch is left on. It gets stuck on, and so it stays elevated. And so you start stress eating. So that's one way that will lead to stress eating. And then, of course, there's other studies that are coming out about another hormone called ghrelin, Ghrelin. They call it the hunger hormone. And what ends up happening is that these high cortisol levels with high insulin levels, like if you're eating fat, sugar, all these things, and then insulin's coming, getting dumped into the body as well, that can trigger this ghrelin, and it doesn't tell you to stop eating, which is not great. So that just kind of ends up happening. And those lovely things, and we're going to probably talk about a little bit more about comfort foods, but those fat and sugar, those things that they have this little bit of a feedback loop because it does dampen a little of some of that stress and the emotion. So they do comfort you in a sense. But then those also just it just keeps going back and around in a circle.
Well, it's a bad loop though, because
it's a bad loop.
guilt and shame can play
yeah.
a part of that. And like when you stress eat, you're sending signals to your reward center. So if you eat something that's fatty, salty, sweet, that can light up your reward centers in your brain. So you can feel like, oh yeah, you feel good. You've got those feel good hormones in there.
Also
as well.
being dumped in. They've had some studies that have likened those types of foods to very powerful drugs.
Yep.
Before. And so because you get that feedback reward situation going on, like you described.
Yeah.
So
And then a lot of people, it's like this shame cycle though, because then they are mad that they wrecked their diet or ate really unhealthily, because a lot of comfort foods that we go to are high caloric. They're fatty, they're salty, they're sweet.
Yep.
So they're your ice creams and chips and things like that. So then you end up feeling bad, and it's just this whole big
and then you go
vicious
eat
cycle.
some more.
Yep. To make yourself feel better.
It's pretty terrible.
I was reading in Psychology Today, they name 5 reasons why we crave comfort foods. And I thought it was really interesting. And especially with some of the other reading I've been doing, I'm like, oh my gosh, this totally ties in. And it's not really food related, but I'm going to tell you anyway.
I want to hear it.
So to feel good, that's one reason. Things like chocolate have a really big effect on your mood, generally increasing like pleasant feelings and reducing tension. Chocolate has those flavonoids that we've talked about.
Yep.
And then, those highly palatable foods like your ice creams and chips and things like that activate those reward centers of pleasure, similar to how like addiction works too. Another reason that we crave comfort food is for self-medication.
Yeah.
There's a consistent connection between negative emotions and unhealthy foods. And it talks about, the phenomenon of emotional eating. When you're in a bad mood, you're drawn to unhealthy foods as a coping mechanism. In contrast, people that are usually in a positive mood will crave more healthy foods. And there's been some studies that show that comfort sometimes doesn't provide any relief from those negative moods because of that cycle that we just talked about.
That feedback loop. Yep.
One of the most interesting reasons that I found was that Psychology Today talked about was the need to belong. The reason why we crave comfort foods. We tend to associate certain foods with memories.
Yeah.
Certain smells, with certain tastes. We'll think of our family or friends, kind of like our people. Maybe like we think about holidays, like a Thanksgiving gathering or something like that. And we crave some of those types of foods for comfort and security. And it's just all of those mind associations, and you associate it with like secure attachments and things like that. And so I've been reading a lot about belonging. That's not my stressed people, but when I am stressed, I listen to Brene Brown.
Yeah.
Do you guys know who that is?
Oh my goodness. Okay. I'm going to post a link in the show notes to her really amazing TED Talks.
Yeah. Because she's got several viral TED Talks. She talks about shame and vulnerability. She is a researcher and storyteller and Texan. And it comes across when you hear her speak and stuff. And it's really interesting. She's a licensed social worker. She works at University of Houston, I want to say.
I can't remember.
Could be San Antonio somewhere. I think it's the University of Houston. And she has written quite a few books. She does a lot of speaking gigs and things like that. She works with Fortune 500 companies and organizations like that. She works with teachers. She kind of works the whole gamut of people. She collects their data and their stories, but she also helps them to lead better, parent better, teach better by embracing certain types of values. And that's talking about your shame and being vulnerable.
Yep, exactly. And that's so, because I love the story she teaches. I mean, she talks about where she's like, this like nice country club group of women wanted me to come, and she's like, oh yeah, I'm going to talk about shame. And the lady that was organizing kind of freaked out.
Yeah.
Because the way you get to happiness and joy and that type of thing is you have to be able to understand shame and vulnerability, like you said.
Being authentic.
Yeah, exactly.
It's basically her premise.
And it's just so funny. It's just hilarious. But this emotional eating so fits into this.
So, but Psychology of Today was saying one of the main reasons that top 5 reasons that we crave comfort foods, that we binge in that emotional eating, is that we need a sense of belonging. And Brené Brown talks extensively about belonging. And I just wanted to share something that she says about that. She says, belonging is not something we achieve, accomplish, or negotiate with others. It is something we carry in our hearts, our wild, messy hearts. And she also says that true belonging is the spiritual practice of believing in and belonging to yourself so deeply that you can share your most authentic self with the world and find sacredness in both being a part of something and standing alone in the wilderness. True belonging doesn't require you to change who you are. It requires you to be who you are. So you get stressed, because I will say this, I haven't had any ice cream.
She can't, everybody. She can't.
I haven't even had almond milk ice cream.
Oh, okay. I'll give you that.
Get you some Brené Brown. She'll get you in a really good mind space.
Yeah.
I recommend her Audible books or her TED Talks. Those are free.
I think she also has a podcast, if I'm not mistaken. So
she's been on many podcasts. Yeah.
Just look her up. I'm glad you brought that up, just because it really does help you navigate why we do that, because she talks a lot about, like, you do things in order to push out negative emotion. Mm-hmm. You overeat, you smoke, you drink, you whatever you have to, you do, because you want to numb those negative emotions. But she says you can't feel your positive emotions either. You can't feel full joy. If you're
numbing in any way, you're also going to be numbing all of those positive things.
Yeah.
And a lot of times when we are self-medicating with food, emotionally eating, we're numbing. And so know that if that's what you're doing, you're numbing those negative emotions, but it's not necessarily going to feel better because you're also numbing positive emotions.
The good stuff that's happening. Oh, yeah.
That being said, Winter.
That being said, can I tell you
Do you know what the world's America's favorite comfort food?
I'm going to take a stab at mashed potatoes. No, macaroni and cheese.
That's close.
What is it?
Pizza.
Oh.
Which also happens to be the world's most Instagrammed food.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I do love pizza. Carbs, fats, all the things.
Gooey cheese.
Yeah, all the things. Comfort foods. Yeah, I didn't even think about this, but the whole belonging thing, that is interesting to me because, when we were growing up, diets were a little different.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, that they were probably not as healthy.
Yeah, remember our diet episode? It's one of the first episodes we did.
It's funny because I was like, oh, you know what? I actually do associate some terribly not healthy things because that's what was the diet at the time.
Cabbage, grapefruit.
Yeah.
Only cabbage, only grapefruit.
No. But yeah, it's funny that you say that because I was like, there are certain things that are super high in fat just because that was the diet that they accepted whatever people ate at the time. It's just different today. I do want to point out one thing. I did read a very interesting article on PubMed, but it talks about emotional eating and how maybe what we deem emotional eating is not super accurate and how we measure emotional eating isn't super accurate. They looked at all these studies and the conclusions that they came up with is like, you know what? The methods we have for collecting information about if people are emotional eating are questionnaires. And maybe those questionnaires are not super accurate because they kind of watched people and they filled out questionnaires after watching like a really stressful, a sad movie versus, just a neutral something or another.
They were watched while they fill it out?
Well, they watched this movie and I think they were supposed to taste test, quote unquote taste test something, but it was actually, they were watching to see how much they actually ate. And there was no difference in how much they ate, but they measured like, oh, that made me sad, or this one was fine, and nothing. The interesting thing was that, so they didn't see any differences between those people that said that they were really emotional and how much they ate, and those people that were neutral in feeling and how much they ate. It was the same. However, they noticed a difference when there was positive emotion. So I'm going to just throw this in there because I didn't think about this as emotional eating, because you can actually overeat quite a bit when you have a lot of positive emotion too, right? because I think
You're
of that.
going to eat all the salad?
No, I'm not going to eat all the salad, but like it is.
You're celebrating. It's a celebratory feeling.
It's a celebration. Okay. It's belonging because that's what happens. Like, you know what? Let's go out. That's what we do. It was funny because I texted Sharon this weekend. I was like, we were going to go to brownies. It didn't work out the one time we were trying to, but I was like, brownies. It was kind of one of those things where it was just, let's do this.
Just so you know, brownies. It has an exclamation.
It does.
And it is a dessert restaurant here in Salt Lake City.
That does gourmet brownies, if you haven't figured that out already. I think we mentioned it like briefly back in sometime
just
in
so
December.
You know, we're not crazy by saying brownies three times very excitedly.
So there was that thing. And they also mentioned that these questionnaires maybe were not the most accurate and that they just need to take a step back and see if there's different ways to talk about emotional eating, because there's all sorts of different ways. Now, Sharon, we've talked about emotional eating.
We've talked with a few different people on our show.
Yes, we have.
About emotional eating.
Now, what are some ways that you have found to be good to stop stress eating or to help you stave those, like, I want to self-medicate with a cookie?
I make myself make it.
Oh.
So, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I make myself make the comfort food.
Yeah.
And if I don't have the energy to make an entire batch of cookies, which my favorite cookie recipe that I have makes like, I think it's like 4 dozen cookies or something like that.
That's a lot of time and a lot of cookies.
Yeah. I don't have time for that.
I got no time for that.
So I make myself make it.
That's super
smart. So that usually ends up being sometimes a decadent dinner. And maybe sometimes I'll do that a couple nights in a week.
Okay. So
that's maybe kind of bad, but it's a bit of work and I have to share it. So
that's better than full on going out and doing, getting and stuffing your face. Yes. I've kind of gotten into meditation.
Yeah. I've downloaded the Calm app to my phone and I really like it.
Little Headspace will do wonders too.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's just some, you can listen to stuff on YouTube but that really helps a lot. My friend is starting a YouTube like 5-minute meditation thing.
Oh, really?
And I'm like super excited about it because
when are they starting?
Here pretty quickly in the next few weeks, I want to say. But I'm excited for it because even that 5 minutes of meditation really kind of helps me just chill out. Chill out, Winter. Another thing that has helped me anyway is switching my thoughtfulness about just being aware that I need something that will make me not so stressed. And so I need to think of things that will help me de-stress. So I had to make a list of things that would help me de-stress, but wasn't food. So like,
oh, how long's your list?
It's only like 3 things long.
Okay. But it's easy to remember.
Well, it's exercise, like go for a walk. It was like do some breathing / meditation for like 10 breaths. I know that's not very much.
Okay.
But that helps a lot. It helps calm Lucy down at the end of the night. So it should calm me down too. And it does.
Nice.
And then the other thing is that I love listening to classical music or just some good music. And I will do that. Like I will go put on some headphones and just listen to some music. I know that sounds dumb, but those are the things that I can de-stress.
I do that at work to tune out noisy coworkers / annoying coworkers.
Yes.
Like if it's just too much.
If it's too much,
like my environment, I blast some classical music.
And it helps de-stress. Those are the things that work for me. So I'm curious to know what other people's stress relievers that are not food related, not comfort food tied, to help them chill out. Send us an email.
Do it.
hungrysquare@gmail.com.
Okay, but before we go, because we're talking about food,
let's do it.
I've got a list it's an unofficial list. It's by Thrillist. So their lists are fairly unofficial, but it's the top comfort food in every state.
What's Utah's, please?
I'll give you a hint, Winter. It's cheesy.
Funeral potatoes.
Ding, ding, ding.
Okay, if you don't know what funeral potatoes are, I'll put a link in the show notes because there was a little bit of a something, but they're super cheesy, delicious potatoes with crunchy something on the top.
Yeah. You got to get past the morbid name.
They're usually served at funerals, people in Utah.
That's the beauty of going to a funeral in Utah. That's the only good part. I mean, there's other good parts maybe.
Yeah.
If you're into funerals. But the food the funeral potatoes. It's usually served with rolls and cold or lukewarm ham slices. But the funeral potatoes are where it's at.
Really? Like, that's all you have to serve me and I'm golden. Oh, I'll take a roll. They usually are really good.
Yeah. Sometimes they're a little bit gooey or saucy because sometimes people put a little bit extra sauce in them.
Which I'm fine with.
So you need that roll to
sop it up.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm a little curious about, for some places that I'm like, they've got many options. Texas.
One of my personal favorites.
Let's hear it.
Barbecue brisket.
Excellent.
Now we're talking about barbecue being smoked barbecue.
Yes. Can you tell me New York City's is it pizza?
It is not.
What is it?
Give you a hint. Named after a city.
Named after a city?
In New York State. Buffalo wings.
Oh. Should have guessed that. Really? Buffalo wings?
Yeah,
Really?
I guess so.
Really?
It's the best they can do.
Okay, North Dakota while you're there. Because I'm just curious now.
Yeah. Give a shout out to some of the non-visited states.
Yep.
I don't even know if I can pronounce this thing. Kuchen or Kuchen.
Kuchen. That's German.
Yes.
Kuchen?
Yes. Owing to the state's German roots, it says.
Really?
It looks like strawberry pie, but the pie is actually like a strawberry pie topping on top of like a sponge cake.
That's so interesting. Kuchen. Huh.
Was Kuchen good looking?
North Dakota, apparently. Apparently. Okay. Well, that's interesting. What's your favorite comfort food?
Boxed macaroni and cheese with nutmeg.
The Kraft? Or are you talking the nicer Trader Joe's one? Wait.
Annie's or
Annie's.
Kraft.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love the Kraft mac and cheese.
Mm-hmm.
I probably, ice cream is my go-to. Chocolate ice cream with all the nuts and other chocolate
All
things.
the stuff in there. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so good.
So good. I just want to go get some right now.
Yeah. Lately mine's been chocolate chip cookies.
Oh, okay. Well, that would be good too.
It's a lot of work.
That's good. That's good. Introducing interesting ingredients.
Do 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 do. Interesting ingredients. We're going to emphasize the interesting today.
Okay, Sharon.
I'm talking about Daiya shreds.
What?
That is Daiya.
Daiya shreds.
Yeah.
What is
vegan cheese?
Oh,
people, it's vegan cheese.
Oh, what is the basis of that? Is that a tofu situation?
We don't want to know, but I believe it is an almond.
Interesting.
They've milked the almond and turned it into cheese.
Can you milk the almond?
Apparently you can, because you can buy the milk.
Yes, you can buy the milk. Okay, so you have discovered this because of your current
said situation of no cheese.
Okay, and how do the Daiya shreds hold up?
Oh, they hold up.
Oh, they don't.
Don't you fret.
They
people.
Don't melt.
They do melt.
They do?
I'm just saying they hold up. Now, they'll melt on very hot taco meat. Okay. They're still kind of in the same place. They've just melted a little bit.
Their edges are blurry.
They're very blurry.
Okay.
And when you eat it with the taco meat, it tastes like you're not missing out on that much.
That's a wah-wah.
Winter, I'm saying that if you're in a sad, undignified predicament like myself, you can still have some cheese on your tacos.
Is that the only thing you've had it on?
It's the only thing I've tried so far. I thought about making mac and cheese the other day.
I don't think you should do that.
I might still. Ike is not convinced that I should.
I don't know if you should.
But I can make a tomato cream sauce
with
with almond milk.
Oh, okay.
people, the almond breeze is the way to go. Don't go the silk route. Silk brand makes almond milk. It's fine. The almond breeze is the way to go, though.
Okay.
It's almost a 1-to-1 substitute for milk, and it's very undetectable if you're mixing it with other things.
Oh, okay.
So I can make a cream sauce. I could make a tomato cream sauce. I'm pretty sure I could make a regular roux. Pretty sure I can make a roux because I've done that. When I say I'm pretty sure I can make a roux, I'm pretty sure I can make a roux like when I make macaroni and cheese. The Pioneer Woman's recipe is a great go-to. Or Miss K from Duck Dynasty, Duck Commander.
Right.
She's got a good mac and cheese recipe as well.
Now these Daiya shreds, is there a certain brand? Is Daiya?
That's the brand.
Okay, that's the
brand.
Okay.
They've milked the almond and turned it into cheese.
And this is the best rated one. I mean, let's talk about that.
Well, I've had soy cheese on my pizza before, and it wasn't a happy experience.
Like disappointing, unhappy experience, or more just like
sad.
That was gross.
Sad. It was a sad experience. It does melt, but it doesn't taste right.
That's a shame.
It plasticizes. Okay, I'm just gonna put that out there. Now the Daiya shreds kind of taste like cheese more than the soy cheese brands that I've tried. I haven't tried every soy cheese brand, but these Daiya shreds seem like a decent go-to, and I could easily find them at Kroger, Whole Foods, of course, because they have everything weird, and the local Harmons, if you're in Utah, they're there as well.
Interesting. This is very interesting.
Fresh Market, or no, it was Macy's. Some Associated Foods grocery stores have them as well.
Okay,
so they're easy to find.
They're more accessible,
and they have a decent cheddar flavor.
So it's just cheddar. That was the other thing I was going to ask. Okay.
They make them in other flavors. I have not tried them, only because the reason why I found them is because the particular website I was looking at highly recommended the cheddar flavor. So
it's passable, is what you're saying.
It's passable, and it kind of melts, but it does hold up really well. So that's why I'm a little hesitant to make macaroni and cheese.
I know you're going to have a sad experience.
I need to make a cheesy
sauce. Can you try and make a cheesy sauce first?
Yeah. So that's what I'm going to do. And then maybe just add those in at the end. So then it's like you've got some melted cheese globs in there, but you basically have a cheesy sauce base. So
wait,
more to come.
Okay. Updates later.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's our interesting ingredient, folks. Vegan cheese.
I feel good about that I'm not eating it.
Thanks for joining us today for our show. You can find us at hungrysquared.com, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Google Play Music, and Spotify.
Hey, you guys. Thanks for coming and hanging out with us today. I'm sorry. Just can't stop laughing. Follow us on Instagram and on Facebook at Hungry Squared. And we are so grateful for you guys. We love you. Thanks for sticking with us, even though we've been a little flaky the last couple of months. We're getting better. It's going to be fine. Anyway, join us next week for our next episode of Food Nerdery.
Okay, love you. Bye.
Bye.
Hungry Squared, yeah, Hungry Squared.